when you're engaging with Xi on these issues in Russia, do you ever say to him, Russia's a loser. Why are you hanging out with this loser?
Well, in diplomacy, Tom, sometimes we...
It's not like journalism?
Slightly different terminology.
Yeah, right. Secretary, you recently met, and President Biden met with President Xi, and when it comes to sort of Russia today, one reason it's been able to keep up this war in Ukraine is that it's found huge markets abroad for its oil and other things, and largely through China. And two questions related. Is there a possibility of a Biden to Beijing kind of move where we separate China from Russia in a way that we did during the Cold War? And do you, when you're engaging with Xi on these issues in Russia, do you ever say to him, Russia's a loser. Why are you hanging out with this loser?
Well, in diplomacy, Tom, sometimes we...
It's not like journalism?
Slightly different terminology.
Yeah, right.
No, and I'm not commenting specifically on what you just said. You know, occasionally you see collections of countries coming together, and it reminds you of the famous bar scene in Star Wars. Yeah. Not necessarily something you want to be part of.
Yes, yeah.
But let me say this first. For us, as for so many countries, the relationship with China is among the most complex and the most consequential that we have. And as I was saying earlier, we're now in a position where we're approaching that relationship from a position of much greater strength than we were in the past.
Yeah.
Because we've made investments at home, because we've re-energized and in many ways reimagined our alliances and partnerships abroad. And the convergence that we have with other countries on how to approach the complexities of dealing with China is much greater than it was. And that's a tremendous source of strength. We see that playing out every single day. We thought it was very important, first and foremost, to stabilize a relationship so that at the very least, the competition that we're in doesn't veer into conflict. That's not in our interest. It's not in anyone's interest. And thanks to President Biden's leadership, we've done just that. I took a trip to Beijing this past summer. Then many of my colleagues in government followed, Secretary Yellen, Secretary Raimondo, John Kerry. But ultimately, it culminated in the meeting that President Biden and President Xi had in San Francisco. There's no substitute for leader-to-leader engagement, especially when you're dealing with China. And I know you'll see more of that in the year ahead.